What's up, all you Minties? Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And today, I'm going to be doing an advanced overview of all these collected editions coming out from Marvel this week. So let's get started. Before getting started, I wanted to give a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of all these collected editions. These books are due out in the direct market and book market on August 16th or 17th, depending on where you get your books. So we have a Marvelverse book, a Saga, an Epic Collection, and a Marvel Masterwork, all four different type of collected editions. We're going to be looking at the Marvelverse Miss Marvel book first, but as always, I leave timestamps in the description of the video so you can jump around in case you're just interested in a couple of books or just one. So let's go ahead and jump right into Miss Marvel. The first book on the list is the Marvelverse Miss Marvel book. This book retails for $9.99, and it is a lot smaller than a trade paperback, the dimensions of the book. You have the trade paperbacks are the dimensions of comics, and these are a little bit smaller. But of course, the price is a lot cheaper than epics or just standard trade paperbacks. But what these books do is introduce new readers to these characters. So they take just different stories throughout the years of Miss Marvel. This is, of course, Kamala Khan. And it's the type of stories that kind of capture the essence of the character, who she is, who her supporting cast is, what kind of stories to expect whenever people that come from the TV show go and read the comic books. So it collects Miss Marvel number 12, Generations Miss Marvel / Miss Marvel. I'll explain what that means here in a bit. Miss Marvel number 38 and Miles Morales number 24. It also has these issues right here, the Legacy Primer issues. I'm sorry, these pages from the Legacy Primer. Kind of gives you a quick recap as to who she is and what her powers are. This here's the story with Loki. It's a cute story, how she handles things. But the big story that I think that is important in here is this story right here, this Generations issue, where she does meet, through a series of events, her person that she idolizes, and that is Carol Danvers. But this is during the time when Carol Danvers was going as Miss Marvel, not Captain Marvel. So her outfit is different. She herself is a different type of character. And she's fighting this Shi'ar warrior right here. I think her name is Night Scream. I know. It's a cool name. Almost as cool as Deathcry. I always love that character. But she gets to meet her idol. And, of course, there's big misunderstandings because that's the way that superheroes talk back then. This one here I think is interesting. This is number 38. And this is more about her supporting cast and who they are. And I like that, for new readers. This right here is their relationship with Miles Morales. They were in the Champions together. And big event, the King in Black, had just happened. And this is kind of like the aftermath. So the book has 104 pages. And again, retails for $9.99. There are some extras, like some variant covers all the way in the back. Next up is one of the latest formats that Marvel introduced us to about a year ago. This is the Saga format. They are as thick as Epic collections or complete collections. But this is more of a collection throughout the years of some of these characters. And in this one, it's Black Panther, the Saga of Shuri, and T'Challa. And this focuses more on the relationship of both of them and less on the actual characters of T'Challa and Shuri. So, Shuri's a newer character. She was introduced in 2005 by Reggie Hudlin. Reggie Hudlin was writing... Actually, this is her first appearance right here. Is Black Panther number 2 from 2005. Reggie Hudlin and John Romita Jr. working on this particular run and introduced us to T'Challa's sister, who later on, of course, would play a bigger role. I think by now most people probably think that she was the Black Panther. But that's not the way that this read at first. So we jump from there to Black Panther number 1 from 2009 when the series was relaunched. So this does collect the 2005 issue of Black Panther number 2. Black Panther 1 through 6, the first 6 issues of that. The Claws of the Panther miniseries, it's a 4-issue miniseries. And Black Panther 1, 8 through 11. That's the 2016 series. And Black Panther, Long Live the King. But let's talk about this first. Because I think a lot of people nowadays, especially when they think of Shuri, they're like, okay, obviously she's going to take over the cowl. She's going to take over the mantle of Black Panther. But the way that this started, I love that they faked us out with these Jeffrey Scott Campbell covers. Because it would like show a picture of Storm, it would show a picture of Shuri and a couple of other characters, and it was trying to make you guess who the new Black Panther character was going to be. I love the art in this. Nothing wrong with John Romita Jr.'s artwork, but I think Ken Lashley is an amazing artist. I loved his run on Excalibur. That's the first time I ever saw his artwork, and his art just kept getting better and better. I realized that he was a little bit slow, so he can't keep up a monthly series, but to me, I love his art, and it's worth waiting on. So the first 6 issues is all about the mystery of how T'Challa got injured. We keep going through flashbacks when he met Namor. Was it Namor that took him out? But, I mean, he is critically injured. Like Storm, this is also during the time when Storm and T'Challa were married. So she's down there in Wakanda. And this is what I mean by critically injured. Dude is scorched up. And this works more like a mystery of who done it. Who did that to not just T'Challa, but also a lot of his guard. Like some of them got killed. Doctor Doom is thrown in there because they've had a past in comics. And then, while he is trying to survive, we get the coming of, yes, the new Black Panther. And I don't think it's much of a spoiler anymore, but yes, that Shuri does become the new Black Panther. She goes through a bunch of trials. Again, the artwork in these 6 first issues was done by Ken Lashley. Meanwhile, Storm is trying to save her husband from the afterlife. She's trying to bring him back. I love that. I thought that was awesome. Now, what's interesting about this collection, by the way, what I was going to say too is that, before I talk about the interesting part of this collection, is that, man, I really did like Reggie Hudlin's run. It was a good run. It was a lot of fun. It was easy to get into. Still prefer, Christopher Priest is still my favorite Black Panther writer. But Reggie Hudlin had a really good run on Black Panther. He was making the character more accessible to people. And not retconning, really. I mean, he updated a few things. This is Claws of the Black Panther, which is a mini-series, the 4-issue mini-series. This one's pretty interesting. This is about a big aftermath in the world of Wakanda. There was this thing called the Doom War, and you can find out what exactly that means. But now Shuri, as the Black Panther, is going around the world trying to find vibranium. It's become really scarce. So there's a team up with not just Wolverine that you saw in there, but also Spider-Man and Black Widow. And then the return of this guy right here, Claw, who's played a big, important part in the Black Panther's history. Then we get the Ta-Nehisi Coates era of, Black Panther right here. Brian Stilfree supplying a lot of the artwork for the first issue. Now we find the dynamic has changed because this is the 2016 series and Shuri was Black Panther in 2009. This is now where Shuri is kind of taken off the table and she's fighting for her life. So we see T'Challa deal with, his sister that's might be crossing the plane into the afterlife while he has to deal with all these things happening in Wakanda. This is Manifold right there of the new Avengers rather, the Hickman Avengers run, and currently hanging out with the X-Men. And then we get these 2 interesting stories in the back here. This is from the Long Live the King. And it's the return of, they are now known as the White Gorilla, not Man-Ape tribe. But it's only issues 3 and 4 from that run. Not that the first 2 issues were connected. I think they were all written by somebody different. Then all the way in the back, we have some wraparound variant covers. Again, Ken Lashley kicking all kinds of ass. This is a 1940s variant. That's awesome. And there are some variants in between the issues, too. Alex Ross, Olivier Coipel. The book has 424 pages and retails for $39.99. I love that hip-hop variant by Brian Stilfree. And as that ribbage right there. But that is Black Panther, the Saga of Shuri and T'Challa. We're about at the halfway point whenever I put the spines up. But as always, I remind people to smash that like button And subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the videos. We put out videos every day. The channel. What the hell am I talking about? But anyway, here are all the spines. You can pause and mute me if you want. But let's keep going. Fantastic Four. The new Fantastic Four. Volume 21 of the Fantastic Four Epics. 1990 to 1992. These particular years are very important to me. This has been previously collected right here in this. This is the same book. There's no difference, except this one was printed at the LSC printer in America. This one was printed at the Solisco printer in Canada. There is a difference in the thickness, though. The one in America is printed a little bit thicker. However, I will say about the one in Canada, the spine looks better because the spine on my original copy right here, this is my original 2018 copy, is a little misaligned. You can see that right there, where this isn't fat enough to fit the spine, so you get some of the art from the back cover here. It's not as bad on this version. Actually, it's just a little bit down here. But we are going to be focusing on this version, or this latest printing, and then we'll do a little just comparison to the original printing. So this collects the tail end of Walter Simonson's run on the Fantastic Four. And it means a lot to me because this was my Fantastic Four that I grew up with, that I started getting monthly because I got hooked because of these 3 issues right here, the new Fantastic Four, drawn by one of my favorite artists of all time, Arthur Adams. Written by Walter Simonson. He was falling a little bit behind because he was writing and drawing this particular title. So this collects Fantastic Four issues 347 to 361, annual number 24, and then material from the Marvel Holiday Special number 1, which is also drawn by Arthur Adams. This is a 3-issue epic, and there's a new miniseries by Peter David that's, I think issue number 1 finally came out. That is coming out here in 2022. And this introduces us to the concept of what would happen to the Fantastic Four if they were killed off. What would become of their legacy? What would become of their name? Their brand, if you will. Well, Sue really does believe that the Fantastic Four are dead. Her husband, her brother, and her best friend. They've all been killed off, one by one. And now it's up to not just them, like the entire family. Everything has been taken from her. So now she is recruiting a new team of the Fantastic Four. That is Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Logan, Wolverine, of course, Mr. Fix-It, Hulk. If you don't know the Mr. Fix-It story, go and read Peter David's Hulk. But that is your new Fantastic Four. Oh my gosh, when I was a kid, I was like, is Wolverine leaving the X-Men? Okay, look, a lot of thoughts were going through my head as a young kid. Yeah, I wasn't young. I was in the 7th or 8th grade when this was coming out. But it blew me away. Mainly because I was a fan of anime. I was a fan of manga. X-Men was my favorite title. I came onto this because Arthur Adams always had that manga anime inspired artwork mixed perfectly with the Western style that he has. Oh. And on top of that, he loved kaiju. And I was a big fan of Godzilla. I mean, what kid wasn't? And that's what he introduces us to. The Mole Man returns. He has all these giant monsters. I love these titles right here, by the way. I didn't mention this. So you know how the Fantastic Four is the world's greatest magazine? He changes it from time to time. The world's goofiest comic magazine. The world's most commercialized comic magazine. The world's most collectible comic magazine. Because you have all these characters, and on top of that, you have a cameo by this guy. You don't even have to show his face. Of course, yeah, it's better to show the logo because his face would confuse people. But 3 issues. Epic. People still talk about this. There was some talk of actually making this a spin-off title. They were reunited from time to time, whether they were fighting the Fantastic Four or the Secret Defenders. And now we have a new mini-series by Peter David. But it brings back a lot of memories because this is when I was like, okay, I really like the Fantastic Four. Wolverine doesn't have to stick around. Maybe they'll bring him back. But I got into it so much that I started picking them up monthly. So there was a run, or actually, I believe this is just a fill-in issue. I'm not mistaken. Hold on, this is the annual, I think. Yeah, this is part of the Korvac quest. So it's the return of Korvac, Michael. He's back, and this is just part 1. Of course, they give you a quick little recap as to what happened to that character later. There's the backup stories right here. But when I started picking up monthly was with this issue right here. This is issue 350. One of the best issues featuring Doctor Doom, and of course this was also featured in the Doom Omnibus, and it's the return of the real Doom. Not an imposter, not a Doom bot, the real Doom. And it's a 3-parter storyline that goes all the way into 351, issue 352 being the most interesting one. They do take a little bit of a breather here. This is Ken Leminski stories with an early Mark Bagley, or a young Mark Bagley, filling in right here. This is before he took over, of course, Amazing Spider-Man and New Warriors. But speaking of New Warriors, they do make a guest star. This one is one of the most gimmicky. Love this issue right here. The world's most confusing comic magazine. Because this is kind of like your choose your own adventure. Whenever you have Doctor Doom, you have time travel elements in there. Of course, the Time Variance Authority is in here. But this is what I mean by choose your own adventure. I thought it was such a cool little gimmicky thing. And at the time, I was in the 7th, 8th grade when this was coming out. I was a big fan of choose your own adventure stories that we would get from the library. My teacher, as a matter of fact, told me to stop getting those because they did not count as part of a proper book report. It actually tells you how to read issue 252. This beautiful cover right there. But this is the tail end of Walter Simonson's run. This character of Miss Marvel ends up leaving the team here. We have a couple of fill-in issues. I believe this one is written by Danny Fingeroth. Al Milgrom supplying the pencils here until we have our new team. And our new team kicks off with this very issue that features my favorite cast of characters. Well, I guess Mark Bagley was drawing the New Warriors then when he did that fill-in issue. Man, that guy could draw fast. But now we have Tom DeFalco and Paul Ryan coming in. Danny Belandi doing a lot of the inks. But holy crap. So to me, this still holds as one of the best Fantastic Four runs. So there's a lot of miscommunication. You have the Puppet Master using, at the time, Marvel Boy, who now goes as Justice. I think he goes by Marvel Boy again. Anyway, Vance Astro, to go and kidnap his daughter, Alicia Masters. And there's a miscommunication. There's a big fight between the Fantastic Four. And of course, the New Kids on the Block. Not the band, but the actual characters of the New Warriors. Eventually, they all make up, and the New Warriors go back to their comic book, their monthly comic book. This right here was a game changer because I hadn't read Fantastic Four monthly. I would get an issue from time to time. I wasn't keeping up with it monthly, but I know some of these characters. I knew who some of these characters were with. The ending of this particular issue had one of the biggest at the time. Of course, we didn't have a name for it. I don't remember any of us calling it a retcon. But there's a huge twist at the end of this issue that apparently they had a sleeper agent. You can find out for yourself who that sleeper agent is. For the Skrull Army. They had infiltrated the Fantastic Four and nothing would ever be the same. Holy crap, that blew my mind. I had no idea the Fantastic Four were just drowning in classic stories. This was, of course, before I read The Coming of Galactus, John Byrne's run. Well, actually, I did have some of those John Byrne issues, but mainly if it featured X-Men. But yeah, Tom DeFalco, Paul Ryan knocking it out of the park. Then the next issue is like, I can't show the final page of the previous issue, but issue 358 here, I'm censoring the last page of the previous issue. Issue 358 had a die-cut cover, meaning that when you open up the cover, the 4 was still there and there was a hole here. But this issue was $2.50. I remember. I bought, I gotta get that. It's the next issue. But it was so expensive because at the time we were paying 75 cents. But it was tripled size. It's a big anniversary issue that continues the story of the sleeper agent and the Skrull Army. And then you get to see the outcome of that. It's got all these extras in the back here. This is a letter from, I believe this is Stan Lee, if I'm not mistaken. And introducing you to his initial idea, the initial plot idea for the Fantastic Four. We have some amazing pinup artwork back here from... That is a young Ron Garney. Doesn't even look like his art. This is Mike Mignola. We have Paul Ryan, of course, and this right here is Ron Friends. Then you get to meet the Fantastic Four, who these characters are, what their powers are. Inside of the Baxter Building, after all these years, 30 years retrospect. Marvel Milestones, a classic. This is how actually I found out about. It's weird to explain. This is how I found out about some of these classic stories, because now we live in the age of the internet. We have YouTube. We have some dork on the YouTube explaining to you what some of these stories are, what these epic collections are, and what they meant to him. But yeah, back then, I didn't really talk to that many people at the comic book store in middle school. But it was really cool that I was curious as to how they fought the Inhumans. I had no idea the Inhumans made a first appearance in Fantastic Four. I was in middle school and all about X-Men. This is a tale of Doctor Doom. Arthur Adams on art right there. So we do get a lot of Arthur Adams. There's the uncut covers. And then we get the last few issues of Paul Ryan's run. And Tom DeFalco's run before we go into the next volume. So this is the beginning of the Tom DeFalco and Paul Ryan era on the Fantastic Four. It's a good issue right here, The Miracle on Yancey Street, which of course is a take on Miracle on 34th Street, and the tail end of Walter Simonson's run on Thor. And even with all the extras you saw in that issue, the big celebration issue, we still have some extras in the back. This is the holiday special, again, drawn by Arthur Adams, featuring Franklin Richards and his mom, and then a couple of extras here, like the covers to the new Fantastic Four trade paper. That thing was out of print for years. I remember, I think I spent like $10 when I was getting trade paperbacks. I used to have that. It just collected 3 issues. Look at the world you're living in. This thing only collected 10 issues. I paid $10 for it, and now you get all of these stories in here. It's awesome. There's an outro by Ralph Macchio. And the big difference, of course, is the thickness and then the cost. Like, they're using different paper stock. This was printed in 2018. This was printed in 2022. This one's $39.99. This one is $44.99. But I was rereading a lot of the stories in this volume. So I noticed one thing, and that is the colors in the newer printing are a lot brighter than the colors here. And that might be the paper stock. I actually know sometimes people are like, oh, no, thicker is better. And I always make that comment about thicker than a Snicker. But it feels like the paper stock, yes, it is thicker in the one printed here in the U.S. a few years ago. But for some reason, to me, the colors look brighter and better and more vibrant in the new printing. Yeah, I like that. So nothing wrong if you want to keep your first trade paperback. If you don't want to upgrade, I get it. Yeah, why would you? But I like this. And honestly, I don't have any more of the single issues. I'd like to say that the colors of this are a lot more true to the colors of the comic, the original comic. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to show you a quick little comparison with the colors. And let's just go over here so you can see this is the original printing and the new printing right here. See, it's a little darker. Not that big of a difference, but I did want to point that out. Last but certainly not least is the Captain America Marvel Masterworks Volume 14. So we have reached a classic run of Captain America. Not that there wasn't classic runs before this, but holy crap did Uncle Raj change the game. Yeah, people tend to always think of Roger Stern and Avengers or Spider-Man or Superman. I don't really hear a lot of people talk about Captain America. I take it back. I remember when War and Remembrance, the trade paperback, was reprinted. It was a big deal. That was back when I was hanging around forums, how important that book was. And then John Byrne. Of course, John Byrne, always people think of X-Men, Superman again, Alpha Flight, Fantastic Four. But both of them brought a little of their magic to the world of Captain America. And it's all in this volume right here. So this is volume 14, collecting issues 247 to 260 of Captain America. Here's your table of contents right here. You do have a brand new introduction by Roger Stern, talking about how lucky he was to write Captain America, talking about the decision to leave along with John Byrne and even the inker at the time, Joseph Rubinstein. So they all left together. But this was such a great story. Oh my gosh. I love this Captain America. And honestly, the next one's going to be classic too, because that's the beginning of J.M. DeMatteis's run with Mike Zeck. Mike Zeck does supply a lot of fill-in art in here. But John Byrne, Uncle Raj, working together on Captain America. Kicking it off with the big Machine Smith story arc right here. So this is Captain America going to visit S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters to ask about what the possibility of these false memory implants would be. Dum Dum Dugan shows him his old belongings that were kept in a locker and then locked away in this big box right here. And one of the things that he finds is his original shield. Meanwhile, Nick Fury is with Baron Strucker. Baron Strucker's like, psych, Nick Fury, and takes his hovering Ferrari out for a spin and tries to take out Captain America and Duggan there. Then turns out that he was just a robot, and who was behind all of these robots that have been exploding lately? None other than the Machine Smith. It's a character that appeared a long time ago, now using the Dragon Man to take out Captain America. Of course, that never works. Again, artwork supplied by John Byrne. John Byrne never letting down his big, just dynamic art style. It's so damn good. And it's interesting to see him, how each character he draws in a fighting sequence fights a little bit different. I've noticed that when I was reading X-Men. Sometimes when artists draw people fighting, and there's nothing wrong with this, right? They're doing character studies on muscles, the way muscles move. Or they're watching some kind of martial arts film and they're kind of drawing a lot of the poses. Or getting a lot of... I've actually heard a lot of artists I've interviewed talking about some of the martial arts magazines they would get, and they would just copy kind of the stances and redraw them, switching up some of the poses. But it's comic books, so to me, the more ridiculous the character fights, the better. And that's what John Byrne was really good at. He was drawing characters just fighting in different stances because they were different types of characters. Captain America would fight a lot different than characters like Machine Smith or later on Batrick that comes in. So the next story is the classic. This is the one that they used for the cover to War and Remembrance, but that is the possibility of Captain America running for president. There's a new party. It's a third party. It's like an independent party, and they want him to run for president. Now, whether he decides to run and whether he decides to become president of the United States, because who wouldn't vote for Captain America? Well, that's up to you to find out. Don't think I want to spoil that particular storyline. The next few issues have a team up between Batrick, like I said he would be returning, and Mr. Hyde. Both of them are trying to take out Captain America. Again, just the fighting is so different for each of these characters. So clear and crisp. And, so good. So unfair. Okay, I talk about how great his art is, and then I know people call out his children, how they look old. I'm not going to say a word. It's still John Byrne to me. He gets a pass, and not all his kids look old. Despite of what that meme showing the Scarlet Witch bathing her kids try to tell you. This story arc right here was so awesome. This is the return of Baron Blood, a character that fought Captain America in the past. This is also the reunion between him and the Invaders, Roy Thomas's Invaders, kind of shoehorning them, or retconning them really, into the past of the Marvel Golden Age. So this is Captain America visiting England, and there's a mysterious murderer going around sucking the blood out of people. And he has a team up, well, I guess not really a team up, but he is reunited with not just Union Jack, but also another member of the Invaders. And here he thinks that, yes, Baron Blood has returned. So they go to Baron Blood's casket. He takes out the wooden stake and he's like, "You damn fools." Well, he doesn't use those words, but he's like, "This is the skeleton of a woman. It's not even the skeleton of a man. How could you let this happen?" So out there he knows that Baron Blood has returned. He is a creepy freaking villain. I love this part when Baron Blood tries to suck his blood and realizes, oh crap, he's got that chain mail on his neck. Oh, my teeth done busted up. Yeah, again, great fighting sequences by the legendary John Byrne, return of classic characters, return of villains, and I think this is the issue that kind of wraps up their run. This is the big 40th anniversary issue, and in his own way, Roger Stern gets to retell the origin of Captain America. I love this. I thought this was great because, both Jack Kirby and then later on, of course, Stan Lee got to retell the origin of Captain America, but they got to do it in like 8 pages. He gets a whole freaking issue to himself to just tell the origin of Captain America. That must have been a dream come true for a fan, because Roger Stern was a fan. He was a fan before he became a writer. And then we have a couple of fill-in issues until we get the new creative team, because Roger Stern, John Byrne, and Joseph Rubinstein decided to leave the book. So this one here is drawn by the legendary Gene Colan and written by Bill Mantlo. Of course, it's got a horror element to this particular story. Why else would you get Gene Colan to draw this? Here's another fill-in issue. This is by Mike W. Barr and Lee Elias supplying the artwork for this one with the Hulk. Until we start getting some fill-in issues by this gentleman right here, Mike Zeck. Chris Claremont doing half the plot of this particular issue because he was busy writing X-Men, but then David Michelinie stepping in to doing the last part, or to write the last part of the issue. With fill-in artists by Mike Zeck, who will become the ongoing artist on Captain America. And his run, along with J.M. DeMatteis, is one of the classic runs of Captain America. He was another kick-ass artist. This is Alan Cooperberg, I believe. It's his fill-in issue. Yeah, with that iconic cover right there. Love it. I think that's Al Milgrom, but let's see. Yep, Alan Cooperberg and Al Milgrom supplying the writing here. As always, they put all the extras in the back, like unused pencils or just original artwork. The book has 328 pages and retails for $75. This is unused pencil art from issue 257. And that is the first printing of War and Remembrance. That was the trade paperback I had. But later on, they had a couple of other covers. This right here is the introduction to War and Remembrance 1990 trade paperback. Jim Salicrup from the 1990 War and Remembrance trade. And then the biographies that they always put in here. And other Marvel Masterworks. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content and page count of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if this is the way that you are picking up the Fantastic Four, if you are getting the Epics or the Marvel Masterworks, what you think about the Saga books, and of course, the Marvelverse books. Is anybody picking them up or gifting them to people? I would love to know all those answers in the comments down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe. Check us out on Patreon and Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. And more importantly, everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.